Hi friends, welcome to another Friends of France Tuesday. I hope you're all doing well. I'm so sorry that I have been MIA and have been gone for the past 2 to 3 weeks and didn't give you guys an episode. How unacceptable of me. Well, as you know, all episodes are ready for release until the end of the season, but February has just been so busy for me. The past 3 weeks were just so hectic with so many events and preparation for New York Fashion Week. I walked a show, Lunar New Year with all of the events, and my magazine cover that came out last week that I had to do a promo for Cosmopolitan UAE. I'm so honored. And then, of course, I have my personal life, as you know, with working full-time as a nurse. So it's just been so busy. And I'm like, my baby, my podcast. But we are so back with another episode, and I love this episode so much. One thing about me, no matter how busy I get, there are two important adulting and life things that I cannot miss. My primary care doctor appointment, my biannual dental cleaning. I know, how extravagant. When I was younger, I hated routines and thought these weren't important to do on time, but now I'm on point with my scheduling, especially my dental appointment, which is basically our topic for today. Oh, the dentist. I always joke that the D in PTSD was for dentist because I hated the dentist growing up. I was so scared to even think about my cleaning visits. I had so many cavities growing up for some reason, even though my mom didn't really let me eat that many sweets. And a couple of teeth extractions there and several root canals here. Just so much pain. I feel like if I close my eyes and just think of all of those visits, I can still feel the exact pain that I felt. Especially with those toothaches, my god. I feel like they hurt more than a stomach ache or when I tore my hamstring because the pain just pulsates in your head. So because of that, I hated the dentist even though my teeth surprisingly turned out really great. I went for an in-office teeth whitening treatment a few years back and the dentist turned me away and said my teeth were so straight and white that I didn't need it. Okay, morals, I guess. But yeah, I never had any braces or Invisalign, and I guess it turned out okay. And now I enjoy my dental visits, enjoy the whole process of laying down, putting on that sunglasses, looking up if there's a movie playing. I make sure to have my twice a year cleaning, no cavities for the past few years, yay. I just enjoy the overall feeling of doing something routine for my health, because oral health is general health, and we'll learn more about that today. And side note, my dear friend Sarah Dane, we met in church as youngins back in 2011. She's a dental hygienist and student RN like me, and she has been cleaning my teeth twice a year now for the past 5 or 6 years. And she's getting married this November. Oh, my heart. Just wanted to share. Anyways, let's meet today's expert guest, who is the best, the sweetest, and the funniest. Dr. Connie Wang, pharmacist turned doctor of dental medicine from Boston, Massachusetts, what an icon, and the host of Just a Quick Pinch podcast, which is a lifestyle and communications podcast for young women healthcare. I love listening to it during my morning commute, despite not being a woman. Today we talk about all things oral health and myths, oil pulling, charcoal toothpaste, the controversial fluoride, and so much more. Okay, let's have a bite-sized discussion. There are trips, and then there are experiences. Imagine a journey where beauty meets meaning. Your K-Beauty Tour is a 7-day, privately curated immersion in South Korea, blending Korean skincare expertise, holistic wellness, and cultural depth, from the trend-setting beauty districts of Seoul to the serene beaches of Busan. Personally hosted by leading beauty and wellness content creator and my dear friend, Daniel Oh, this experience offers access you simply cannot get on your own. From palace courtyards where empresses once prepared their skin with hand-ground herbs, to private aesthetic consultations, bespoke color analysis, exclusive spa therapies, and blue ribbon level dining. With intentionally limited spaces for May 10 to 16, 2026, this is beauty elevated to ritual, where skincare becomes ceremony and travel becomes something unforgettable. Visit yourkbeautytour.com to learn more and reserve your place. Sometimes, it's not time that heals all wounds, but flowers, steeped gently into a cup of tea. Inspired by founder Lisa Lee's own healing journey from thyroid disease and burnout, The Chi is a wellness brand based in New York City on a mission to help people feel more joy, calm, and connection through the power and beauty of flowering teas. The tea was born from the discovery of rare, single-origin whole flower teas rooted in centuries-old Eastern rituals. Each bloom is hand-picked at peak vitality by small family-owned farms across Asia to offer a grounding, sensorial experience that reconnects you to yourself, one cup at a time. Choose from the Shangri-La Rose, Blue Lotus, and the Royal Chrysanthemum and get 15% off at the-qi.com. That's the-qi.com with the code FRANZ. That's FRANZ. One-time use and cannot be combined with other codes. Drink flowers, feel alive. Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of the Friends of France podcast. Today I am so excited to introduce you to our next expert guest, a good friend of mine, and literally a master of the teeth. You know what I'm talking about. Dr. Wang, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for having me on. I'm so honored that you invited me. I literally, the second I got your text, I was like, I'm there.
Please, the honor is all mine. Dentist and just an icon in herself, just a quick pinch podcast. Can you tell us more about your background and your journey that led you into the world of dentistry? Because I know this was not your first career, right?
Yes, so you are correct. I mean, honestly, how far do you want to go back? So it starts back to when I was 18, and I knew I wanted to work in healthcare to some degree. It's actually funny because this factors into where I am now. I also wanted to be a radio host, but then my older sister was like, you're never going to have a stable life if you become a radio host. So just give up on that dream. So then I was like, okay, I guess I'll go be a doctor or something, the typical Asian thing. Wait, actually, I have a question for you. Did you always want to work in healthcare? Or besides the dream of the modeling and the social media, did you ever have any sort of other aspirations?
I think because my mom was a nurse, so growing up, I always had the inclination towards, seeing her take care of people. But I think I was always conflicted with more of the arts and entertainment world. So I was like, you know what? We'll just see what happens. And I think being on social media is a beautiful mixture.
Yes. No, you basically saw your options, and instead of deciding, you just said yes. And you did all of them.
I'll take both. Thank you.
Take both, yes, literally. So yeah, I kind of had a similar path. I was like, wait, I really want to be a radio host, but my sister was like, give up on that. So then I was like, okay. And so then what happened was I had free tuition to attend the school closest to my hometown, the University of Rhode Island, and they have this really amazing combined doctorate of pharmacy program. And so, from the jump, my parents were like, you're not going to any other school except URI because, it's what's financially feasible. I dabbled in the thought of maybe being rebellious and going to a different school. But then ultimately, I was just like, you know what? They're right. I don't see it now, but someday I'll be thankful. I did. I was like, you know what? If this is the best program and I'm going to get it for free, I guess I'll just become a pharmacist. So there I was just going through school, and in all honesty, I really loved pharmacy school because I loved my best friends, and I was president of the pharmacy sorority and then president of some other club. I was Miss Pharmacy basically, but I think it was to hide my true feelings of how I actually was deeply unhappy with pharmacy.
Yeah.
And then I was just searching for validation and all of that just to kind of hide how I really felt. But you know what's funny? I remember kind of exactly when it happened. I went to my sister, my older sister is a dermatologist, and I went to her dermatology residency graduation. And I remember seeing her standing up there holding her certificate, so proud with all of her co-residents. And it was in that moment where I was like, I want what she has. I want to be proud genuinely and feel like I chose the career that I wanted, not I just settled for the free tuition and settled for the validation. And so at that moment, I was like, well, then what does it look like for me to be proud of myself? Is it a different career? And this is the part that's kind of funny and also stupid is I went into my basement for some reason to grab something, and I saw out of the corner my brother-in-law, my sister's husband. He's a dentist. He had stored this large painting of an iguana that he did, and it was this beautiful, well painted, very realistic, hyper, incredible hand skills painting. And I remember this is how basic my thought process was. I'm like, he's good at art, and he became a dentist, and he seems happy. So therefore, if I like art, I would be a good dentist and I think I would be happy. And that's literally like how I
Mhm.
became a dentist. And it made so much sense at the time. And literally the next thing I knew, I blinked. I chose to like do the prereqs. I started shadowing at my dental office and working as their like assistant. And I would like skip pharmacy school classes to work and then study late at
Mm.
night. I had my Hannah Montana life, but it was like a
Yeah.
dorky like dental pharmacy Hannah Montana. I wasn't on the cover of Harper Bazaar like Christian over here.
Please, I love that story. I mean, it's truly such an art form. I mean, the way that people have to handle teeth, come on, it's a
Mm.
science and an art, right?
Yeah, it's really funny because like sometimes I'll be like deep nerding out about like the science of it, but then sometimes I'll just be like, I don't know how this happened. I just slapped some composite together and now it's a tooth. Like there's like also a science, but then there's also just like an art form to it. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, I mean, I can say that for myself as a patient because I remember growing up, I had so much cavity for some reason.
Really?
And I
Oh
had
my
like
gosh.
several root canals. I'm so sorry, but I have
Mhm.
the D in PTSD is dentist because I just have trauma. I mean, now I enjoy going and laying down and watching the movie from overhead or
Right, right,
whatnot.
right.
But there was a time where it was such a place of so much fear for me.
Mm. Did you
But
have pain? Like, did you have a painful experience?
oh yeah, I had a painful experience. There was even the one time where they were pulling out my tooth and I think they accidentally let go of it. So I almost swallowed the tooth.
Oh, that
Oh, it's
almost
like,
happened.
oh my gosh. So I have trauma from that. But you know what? We came out, I'm a survivor. I
You are
am
a survivor of the dental chair.
the S in PTSD now is surviving dentistry.
The T is still for trauma, though.
But see, social trauma, that never
Yes.
goes away. Well, I also know that for the general public, and from what I see from memes online and videos and Reddit forums, the field of dentists actually is such a root of so much fear for many people, right? I
So
mean, I guess it
much.
was never a fun experience for kids
Mhm.
or whatnot. But then it all breaks down to, I guess, just this area in our face, our mouth. I guess for the general public, can you break down what dentistry actually covers regarding oral health? Is it just the teeth? Is it just our gums? What does the whole profession consist of?
Yeah. So I'm glad you asked this question because I think this is like such a misconception for so many people. The way I see it, dentistry is the nosiest healthcare profession ever. And you want to know why? We are nosy AF because when I look into someone's mouth, I'm getting a glimpse into I know what they like to eat, what they like to drink, how they
Mm.
sleep. I know different things that will affect how they talk, obviously how they smile. But the sleep, the eating, the lifestyle habits, it's so interesting because I can clock. I'm like, do you like seltzer? And they're like, that's weird. How do you know that? And it's like, I just feel like a little detective. And I love, well, not to mention also the sleep component of it.
Yeah.
I just feel like every part of your life actually is surprisingly affected by your teeth, your gums, your tongue, taste. And so it's really satisfying for me when I get to give someone a good dental experience because usually what happens is I really get to impact those big parts of life that make life magical. So sleeping, eating, talking, all that.
Yeah, no, I love that. I mean, truly, the quality of life that can be lost if someone doesn't have their teeth, they have an issue with, I guess, with their bite or
Mm-hmm.
even having like an active infection in their gums, I guess. It really, truly, defines someone's quality of life. So, first of all, thank you for all the great work that you do. But I
Of
guess also
course.
thank you for being a detective. And I guess you'll be able to tell that I drink a Diet Coke every day. Oops.
Gosh, you're so funny. Well, you know what's funny though is like dentists are also the most hypocritical people you'll ever meet. Cause like I'm out here drinking soda, I'm out here eating candy. You should see my break room. But it's just so interesting because I think a lot of people have the misconception that like dentists have great teeth. And that's actually
Mm,
part of why I never initially chose dentistry was because I've had
mm,
bad teeth growing up. And so I was like, I think like they won't accept me. I think this automatically disqualifies me because I have all these fillings, root canal.
yeah.
Like it's interesting, like the misconceptions you have about the career. And I just want to say, I too identify as someone that's been traumatized by dentistry. And like sometimes, like things will inevitably happen. A hard case, someone's
Yeah.
not going to have a great day. And then they leave my chair, and I'm like, well, I just gave someone trauma, I think. So it's just part of the field. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's part of the process, I would say.
Yes. As long as we try to strive to do better, that is what matters.
There we go. And I think even though how I guess, rudimentary the function of teeth may seem like, right? Like it helps out with eating. And even though people may not know, it has also something to do with sleeping, as you said, right? Even
Mm-hmm.
just all of our daily activities as well. I feel like the tooth in itself, just the mouth in itself. I remember being a kid, I'm like, I actually don't understand how the tooth works. Like, how am I feeling pain when it's literally just this white piece of
Yes.
solid, right? Like, where is the pain coming from? So, can you provide us just a brief overview of, I guess, how the tooth works, like its anatomy or what their purpose is? How does a toothache?
Yes. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you asked this because literally, like, no one's ever asked me this. Basically, how it works is think about the tooth as like two layers, right? And this is part of why toothpaste and taking care of your teeth, this is why every little step matters. So basically, you have the outer layer that's nice and white called enamel, and then you have the inner layer that's more yellowy called dentin. Fun fact, if you've ever not been able to whiten your teeth to like a certain level that you want, it's probably because different people have different layers and yellowness of that inner layer that can affect how white you can whiten the outer layer, basically. So, like, some people just have a very stubborn, very dark inner layer. And so there's only so much you can do really to be able to whiten. I mean, there's a bunch of different reasons why whitening can be tricky for certain people. Anyways, there's two layers, right? And then on the very innermost part of that inner yellow dentin layer is something called the pulp or the nerve. And that is where you get toothaches from. But the tricky part, that is the enemy in a way. The tricky part, though, is that nerve, it's really important. It's our blood supply to actually keep the tooth alive, too. And what makes dentistry so frustrating, you see people fighting in the comments of these viral videos and being like, well, my tooth didn't hurt until this happened and like, don't do this, blah, blah, blah. It's because teeth are funky. Sometimes what happens is a cavity on the outer layer. If it's really, really small, we can watch it, right? If it's in that outer white layer called the enamel, generally, most dentists will agree we'll watch it. Once it starts to get closer or touches that inner dentin layer, that's when we treat it because once cavities hit that second layer, they spread a lot quicker. And then they get close to the nerve and can cause things like needing root canals, right? The problem is, though, we tend to honestly not feel cavities. Like everybody's always like, well, my tooth feels fine. Why do I need to take care of it? And the problem is, even if your tooth feels fine, it's oftentimes not fine. And the really confusing thing is the more not fine it is, sometimes you don't feel anything. I've seen people with literally nothing but the root tip left and they don't feel anything. And what happens is as cavities or infections or anything like that gets closer and touches the nerve kills itself off in order to just like prevent pain and things like that. But even though the nerve is dead and you can't feel pain, you're still going to have that risk of infection. And so a tooth could be like in such a horrible state with a big cavity and just lay dormant forever. And then suddenly one day it decides to flare up. And that's when you have massive infections. And that's when things are really painful. And unfortunately, that's happened to me before and happens to patients all the time. But it can just be very confusing because it's like one part of the body where your symptoms really don't line up sometimes with like what's actually going on.
Imagine if skincare could do more, but with less. Meet Remsen, a New York brand made in South Korea, where world-leading innovation meets the no-nonsense energy of New York City. Their essential duo keeps it effective and efficient with high-quality ingredients. Their Gentle Greens cleanser, featuring green tea, centella, and aloe, cleanses without drying. And the multitasking peptide moisturizer combines bakuchiol, ceramides, and a clinically proven dose of peptides in a single lightweight step to hydrate, strengthen the skin barrier, and help prevent visible signs of aging. Both are safe for sensitive and acne-prone skin types, vegan, cruelty-free, and beautifully packaged with sustainable materials, making the set a great gift. You can get 20% off your first purchase on remsenskincare.com. That's REMSEN skincare.com with the code FRANZ. That's FRANZ. One-time use and cannot be combined with other codes. Get maximal results with minimal steps. We long for what's natural, yet often hide it with layers. And today's soap market is no different, crowded with products that are harsh and overly processed. Born in Seoul, South Korea, Chai Binu was made to bring things back to something simpler, something intentional. Each handcrafted bar of soap is cold processed in small batches, using only natural oils and botanical powders. It is then cured and air-dried for over 1,000 hours, letting the bar harden naturally for a gentler feel and a longer life. It all began with a mother searching for relief for her son's sensitive skin and a refusal to settle for harsh liquid soaps or quick-made bars. Let your skin experience the byproduct of patience, simplicity, and a mother's love. For 15% off at shybinu.com. That's shybinu.com with the code FRANZ. That's FRANZ. That small cavity, oh my goodness, you just never know where it leads to, right? But for
No.
those who may not know, what actually is a cavity? And is sugar really the biggest villain for our teeth, specifically the culprit behind cavity?
Yeah, so that's such a good question. So you can think about it like this. On your tooth and in your mouth, there's a bunch of good bacteria and bad bacteria. Some of the bad bacteria is causing gum disease, like periodontitis, and some of the bad bacteria is causing cavities. And so what happens is whenever we have anything that's like, let's say a carb, so crackers, goldfish are the silent killer for me. Kids with goldfish, it's not always the sweet stuff and the sugar. Sometimes it is the goldfish and the snacks. Basically, anything that will bring down the pH of your mouth. pH is everything to dentists because your mouth is supposed to be at a certain pH level, and then when they dip lower, that's when we're more prone to cavities. Let's say you eat a cracker. Well, basically, everyone thinks like, oh, the sugar sits there and rots, and it's like yes and no. Basically, the bad bacteria will like eat up all of the carbohydrates. They like to eat carbohydrates, and they'll poop out or excrete out this acid, and the acid is what creates ultimately the wear and tear and like that hole in your tooth that is the cavity. So it's not necessarily that you eat chocolate and it sits there and it rots a hole. It's that the bacteria is excreting out the acid, and the acid is what's causing that cavity. And so everything about preventing cavities, yes, reducing like sugar and exposure to stuff like that is important, but it's all about maintaining your pH balance in your mouth.
And would you say then that like brushing your teeth has a contribution to that pH maintenance?
Yes, for two reasons. One, I mean, brushing is good because mechanically it's getting rid of the debris and whatnot. But also, two, if you use a good toothpaste, then that's also helping your teeth get stronger and remineralize if you're using things like fluoride. And so it's basically helping with the pH levels of your mouth too. And one thing to know about brushing your teeth is you don't really want to be brushing and scrubbing mechanically while it's still in an acidic state. So I actually tell all my patients, like, if you just ate or drank, like had coffee, seltzer, if you ate anything, you should really wait like 30 minutes before you brush, because it takes about 30 minutes for the pH in your mouth to go back to like the normal level instead of the acidic level. You don't want to be scrubbing while it's susceptible and acidic.
Wow, the more you know. Well, this is the big question. How many times do we actually have to brush in a day?
You want to know my honest answer? Okay, so like basically the ADA, we're all like 2 times a day brushing. That's great. And flossing once a day. But you know what's really crazy? I have seen in my life some patients that brush once a day and then they come after like, I saw some guy literally the other day. He hadn't been to the dentist in 20 years. He had so much tartar everywhere covering up his teeth, and yet not like maybe like one cavity, like nothing crazy, right? So this isn't to say don't brush your teeth, but it's just like every other field in healthcare, we all have different risk levels. So for some people, who knows, even brushing 3 times a day could benefit them. That's all that being said, the safest way just to ensure you're not going to have problems is to brush twice a day and to floss once a day.
Is there any way that we can brush our teeth incorrectly? So is there a standard on how we should brush our teeth?
Yes. So, oh my God, I could get so nerdy about this, but yes, there is something called the Bass method. I think it's Bass. I've always called it Bass, but honestly, it could be Bass. BASS method of brushing your teeth. This is the nerdy little like dentist method that we all talk about. You're supposed to hold the brush at a 45-degree angle to your gums because the goal is you want to be able to be removing all the debris, both on the surface of the tooth, but also close to the gums. And it's interesting because I see a lot of buildup there because I think a lot of people are either rushing and not brushing the full 2 minutes that we need. Or another thing could be, and this is an interesting part of what I meant, like we're nosy AF. I can tell if someone's right-handed or left-handed because if they're brushing super hard, they'll have a lot more recession of the gum where like you're brushing too hard and the gums kind of recede. You'll have it more on like the opposite side, basically.
Well, truly a detective. Now,
I know.
Are you a flossing detective as well? Any tips on when it comes to flossing?
Yes. The first thing I want everyone to know that I don't think we emphasize enough, though, is that flossing can do what brushing does, but brushing cannot do what flossing does. Because when you're brushing, you're just scrubbing the outside, right? But you can't get in between the teeth. It's almost like as if you didn't wipe your cheeks after you go number 2 to the bathroom, essentially. That's what's happening in your mouth, right? Versus flossing, you can actually scrape off a decent amount of sides of your tooth and you can really get in between there. And I think the misnomer, a lot of people think that flossing is to get stuff out of their teeth. And so they only do it when they feel as though there is stuff between their teeth. But there's a much larger purpose. And it's that actually, if you have plaque and bacteria getting stuck underneath your gum line, it has major effects. It's been linked to things like diabetes, Alzheimer's, risk of stroke, so many like actual long-term systemic health effects where it's really not just a matter, I'm not trying to get the spinach out of your teeth. I'm really just trying to help you be as healthy as possible. And I've seen some like professional CEOs who wake up at 5 a.m. and go to the gym and drink their green juice. But then I see they have so much gum disease. And it's like, I honestly can't say you're any healthier. You're still at a risk for stroke and diabetes. And they've done studies where flossing is linked to things like A1C and like there's improvement of both if you improve one or the other. So it really is that closely linked. But to go back to your original question about, you know, the flossing and all of that, 2 tips I say are, now that you know why flossing is important, one tip, floss before you brush, because 99% of my patients, if you floss first, you're still going to brush because that's how we're programmed. But if you brush first, you're going to feel minty clean from the toothpaste. You're going to feel so clean. You're not even going to, you're like, you know what? I'm good. I don't have food stuck there. I don't need to floss. So just get it done with first and you are going to be amazed and also a little bit satisfied by how much more, you actually get out. So start with that first. And then also my second piece of advice for flossing is just treat it like the gym. I try to imagine myself, you know, the mom in Cool Girl, she's like, I'm not a regular mom, I'm a cool mom. Yeah, so I like try to imagine I said that joke to a patient and they did not laugh. And it was the most awkward moment of my entire life. I was like, I'm not a regular dentist, I'm a cool dentist. And they didn't get it. And I was like, I need to know my audience. Like that was horrible. But yeah, basically like, I'm not going to be strict about it. If I see someone with these bloody red gums, I'm not going to berate them because like they're not going to listen to me. So I try to meet people in the middle and just say like, listen, treat it like going to the gym. I don't expect someone that has not built that habit to suddenly go hard every day and go to the gym. It's just not going to happen and it's not good for anyone to think that's possible. So instead, I like to bookend. I'm like, let's do a Monday, Friday floss plan. Or you know what, you really want to like slack? Let's start with Monday, okay? Floss on Mondays or floss Fridays. I forget what I say. I say something really cheesy. I usually gets a giggle from them. And then I'm like, you know what? Build up that habit. Once you have floss Fridays, then we're going to do floss Mondays, build up to a couple times a week. And you'd be amazed how much you can tell the difference. Like I don't need perfection. I just need a couple times a week at the very least.
Yeah, no, I really love that point. I think that goes with anything in life when it comes to health and wellness, right? It's just that first step, those small basic steps that lead to gets more of routine, becomes habits, and then it becomes a lifestyle. So I super agree with that. And I think when it comes to everyday oral health, another thing that people are always asking questions about beyond toothbrushing and flossing, I guess it's a trifecta with this third one, is mouthwash.
Yes.
Is it needed? Is it beneficial? If we've already flossed, already brushed our teeth, do you still need to mouthwash? Is it just good for nothing?
So it's so funny you mention that because I have my dentist opinion and then I have my real person opinion. Okay.
Give them to me both.
Okay, so my dentist opinion is that mouthwash really does matter because it's another form of delivering fluoride, which just helps protect your teeth from acid. Like we talked about, like acid is the enemy. And in the modern diet, like back when we were cavemen, like we were eating a lot of protein and meat, which actually protects your teeth from getting cavities. But now, I mean, I am curious about the research about like the keto diet and whatever. But now our modern diet is so acid filled and things like that. So mouthwash is great just to help with the pH of your mouth, right? And it just helps deliver fluoride. My real person opinion on this is actually, so like I went from being a kid who every single checkup had like, I'm not even kidding, like 2 to 3 cavities. Like I needed every single tooth filled. And
Same.
then, really? You were like that too?
Twins.
Yeah. It was like so discouraging, but also I didn't know anything else different. So I just thought that was normal. And I was such a problem kid. But anyways, what happened was when I went to college, I like, this is so stupid. I was like, if I'm, you know, at a party and I meet a guy and I want to like kiss a boy, then like, I don't want to have bad breath. So then I really started using fluoride mouthwash because I was like, I'm going to be kissing all these boys. Plot twist, she was not kissing all these boys. But I wanted to stay ready. I wanted to stay ready just in case I was going to
be ready, just in case.
And then so like once I was in that culture, and then I was like, you know what, I got to stay ready. And let me tell you, that was my first checkup in like God knows how long, like easily like 6, 7, 10 years where I didn't have cavities. And they were like, oh my God, this is amazing. And I'm like, literally the only thing I changed was I started using mouthwash more regularly. So I really believe in it.
Oh, there we go. You know, you've been mentioning this word a lot the past few minutes. And it's actually one of the three things I wanted to briefly talk about when it comes
Yes.
to rampant dental topics and viral trends, especially on TikTok. Oh my gosh, I don't even know why,
Yes.
but I scroll sometimes and I was like, there's so many dental stuff. For some reason, my For You page have been all about tonsil stones.
Of removing tonsil stones. I wish I could specialize in it. It's my favorite thing. I've removed a couple at this point, but it's incredible every time.
Oh my gosh. So yeah, my For You page is literally about like dental stuff like tonsil stones.
Do
And
you get tonsil stones? Is that a problem for you?
I think a few years ago,
Mm.
and I would literally try to get it out. And
You need
then
help from a different root canal.
yeah, yes. And then okay, don't cancel me, please. And then I smell it.
No, yeah, that's like 100%. Oh my God, there's nothing like the smell of a tonsil stone. I know exactly what you mean.
And I don't know why I do it to myself. But anyways, so when it comes to viral trends, there's three things that I wanted to briefly talk about. And this one
Yes.
you've already mentioned it, but fluoride. You've been mentioning
Mhm.
fluoride a lot in our toothpaste and this and that. What exactly is fluoride and what is its role? I know you mentioned briefly when it comes to our oral health. Like, is it really needed?
Yes. So you'll find all different types of dentists out there. And it became such a hot, like, political thing almost because I think,
Mm-hmm.
honestly, industries thrive off of separating us and making us feel like it's one or the other. And if you
Mm-hmm.
support one, then you're whatever. I am of the belief, and I think a lot of dentists are like me, I support fluoride because that's what has the most research out there. It's what I've seen clinically has helped my patients the most. And it's just, frankly, just not in concentrations that are big enough to cause the negative side effects that everyone is afraid of. That being said, I am also a woman who wants to be a mom someday and has empathy for people who care about like what's going in their family's bodies. That's the most common thing that I hear
Mm-hmm.
from people is worry about toxicity. And I think like at the root of it, you know how I was talking about like the political division or whatever? We all want the same things. We just want our families to be healthy and safe. So when I have a mom that comes to me and says they've read their own research on fluoride and they don't believe in it, I'm honestly not going to fight too much on it. I can only educate so much from what my perspective is. And I am always transparent and I say, you know,
Mm-hmm.
I am a fan of fluoride, but I respect whatever because at the end of the day, I'm here to just help you make those judgments and you're going to pick whatever you want to. So
Yeah.
what I explain about fluoride is basically it is also a naturally occurring substance. Everyone's like, oh, it's like synthetic. Everything has to be made synthetic, like shampoo. Everything has to be made. But
Mm-hmm.
basically, fluoride is something that really protects your teeth and helps strengthen them because earlier, you know how I told you about like the nerdy little model of the tooth, how there's
Mm-hmm.
two layers, the outer layer, the enamel. That outer layer is made up of something called hydroxyapatite. It's what keeps our teeth protected and strong, basically. How fluoride helps, though, is that when fluoride gets to work on the tooth and gets to contact the tooth, it gets to work on the tooth. It's such a nerdy way to say it. When fluoride enters the chat, I'm going to try to make it more Gen Z friendly. It actually makes our teeth a lot more protected against acid, which, like I said, is the dentist's like enemy. It's like our worst nightmare, and it's in diets everywhere. Normally, where let's say like the hydroxyapatite, like the tooth, would start to see effects at a pH level of like, let's say 5.5. What fluoride does is it makes it a lot more acid resistant. So instead of it being more susceptible at 5.5, it's more susceptible now at like 4.5, right? And that can make a big difference in protecting our teeth against things like cavities because we know now acid is where that cavity is coming from. So it's making the tooth even stronger and like more fortified than before. So I understand why people have the position, you know, of, I mean, things like when it comes to water, that's a very sensitive subject. It's kind of like vaccines too, because people want to
Mm-hmm.
have agency over what's going on with their families, right? And I understand that. But my personal opinion, like if it were my own family, I'm giving them fluoride all day, every day, because that's what has the most literature behind it being protected.
Yeah, and you were mentioning about hydroxyapatite. Actually, when I
Yeah.
was in Korea, one of my
Hmm.
friends texted me saying, "Oh, can you look for this in the Korean pharmacy? It's a toothpaste with no fluoride, but just hydroxyapatite." So I was like,
Yeah.
oh, that's so interesting. I guess in a world where, and let's say rhetorically, if we eliminate fluoride and just make hydroxyapatite as alternative in all of these toothpaste, what do you think will happen to our teeth?
So, you know, it's tough to say because it's funny you mentioned that. Nanohydroxyapatite, which is like what your friend was talking about, that is like the alternative to fluoride. And that's actually the gold standard in other countries like Japan. So, like for context, like basically Japan got their hands on nanohydroxyapatite. We started working on fluoride since very early on in like the 1900s or so. So because of that, that's kind of why like the literature is more new on the nanohydroxyapatite. But yeah, it's a gold standard that's proven in other countries to help. Caveat here is that how nanohydroxyapatite works, it's more so just fortifying the tooth as is, but it's not doing that like change in acid resistance that fluoride is. So at least in like the modern American diet where acid is so relevant and in patients that are very cavity prone, that's why I'm very pro fluoride is I'm like, no, fluoride's like your body armor. It's like adding that extra oomph versus like you can make a case for nanohydroxyapatite. Absolutely. I actually have a kind that I really like too. But the difference that I want everyone to like think about is that like things like diet really play a role. So when you see it popularized in other cultures, other diets, things like that, like there's so much more to it. If I didn't have fluoride, I would use nanohydroxyapatite, but it's just, the level of research that I have. That's why I lean more towards fluoride. For what it's worth, too, I do feel like I get so many concerns from like those parents, like I was saying. Basically, I don't want parents to feel afraid of like the judgments that they're making. Like I want them to feel empowered to know like, okay, you don't want to do fluoride, then use nanohydroxyapatite. But ultimately, like I just want them to like build that trust and relationship with it to understand like, okay, my dentist can have different views and they can support fluoride and they also respect me having that nanohydroxyapatite. Basically, like that's kind of like my grand vision and goal for everyone is to like have that like understanding.
What if your night out could come with a smarter tomorrow? Meet Dayguard, a Korean-inspired functional jelly stick designed to support liver health, hydration, gut balance, and vitamin replenishment when drinking alcohol. With science-backed ingredients like DHM, L-cysteine, prickly pear extract, L-arginine, and B vitamins, each convenient and delicious stick helps your body break down alcohol and reduce next-day sluggishness. Just take one stick before your first drink of the night and support your body's natural recovery so you can wake up refreshed. Get 10% off your first purchase at dayguard.com, that's DAYGUARD.com, with the code FRANZ, that's FRANZ. One-time use and cannot be combined with other codes. What if your home could feel more like you? Meet Emmy, a New York-based home fragrance brand founded in 2020 by Erica and Mark. Inspired by the scents they grew up with, like steamed rice, tropical fruits, and temple incense, Emmy celebrates fragrance as memory, culture, and ritual. From design-forward candles to re-diffusers and hand soaps, each product is crafted with clean ingredients, wood wicks, and thoughtful formulations. More than scent, Emmy creates atmosphere and belonging, storytelling in wax, in water, in air. So whether it's lighting a candle or washing your hands, small rituals are transformed into something intentional, making your space warm, alive, and entirely yours. Get 15% off at emmynyc.com. That's EMMENYC.com with code FRANZ. That's FRANZ. Find your story, find your atmosphere, find it with Emmy.
I would say that I think I've tried this once or twice because of TikTok, me not knowing anything better or anything about it at all. Oil pulling. What is it about? What is the premise behind it? What is it supposed to do? And does it actually work? Or is there more harm than good when it comes to oil pulling?
Yeah. So oil pulling, that's another hot topic. That's actually how like my favorite floss brand, Cocoa Floss, was created. And so the premise behind why coconut oil pulling is supposed to work is that coconut oil is very anti-inflammatory. It's very soothing in many like Ayurvedic and many different senses. Like coconut oil has been proven to be like soothing, antimicrobial even. So that's why people think like, okay, if I like swish it around my mouth, it'll help. Not really any harm other than the fact that you will have to lose 20 minutes of your life to do that because they've done studies and in order for it to be effective, you need at least 20 minutes of oil pulling. And I just like don't know anyone who can do that. I'm very impressed if anyone can, but it's like funny in my head. And I don't want any dentist haters out there to get mad at me for saying this, but y'all will literally try anything except what we tell you to do. like just brush for 2 minutes and then just floss. But then they're like, but what if I coconut oil pull for 20 minutes? And I'm like, I guess. So long story short, I don't think it will harm you. And I actually think what's cool about coconut oil pulling is that it allows you to kind of feel agency over your own habits. And like, if you can build that habit to care about your gums, like I'm just happy people are caring about their gums, honestly. So if you want to try that and it gets you to care about your teeth and gums, go for it, right? But I'm just saying, I could save you 20 minutes, just like floss. Like it'll take you like so much less time and we'll actually get into all the areas of your gums.
Yeah, what's with all of this oil and butter thing? Like, for example, in
Yes!
dentistry, you have this oil pulling. In dermatology, there's this beef tallow that everyone's talking about.
Same exact thing. We just stay being greasy, basically.
Why does everyone want to be greasy? Well,
Yeah.
aside from being greasy, I think what everyone wants, and I guess society and culture as a whole, is when it comes to white teeth, right? And you kind of mentioned about this. People do anything to get white teeth, right?
Literally.
I mean, we have in-office teeth whitening, obviously, and then you have all of these other modalities that people do to whiten their teeth. And one of the things I think I've been hearing, I think ever since I was in high school or college, maybe,
Yes.
activated charcoal toothpaste for teeth whitening. Where did this idea come from? Like, how is this supposed to help whiten teeth as it's supposed to promise? And is there any harm to it?
Yeah, so you know how I was like, there's no harm to coconut oil pulling? There's harm to charcoal toothpaste. So basically, it's all about like the principle of how it works, right? Charcoal works in two ways. One, it's very abrasive, so it's kind of like a Brillo pad, like just or like a scrub daddy, right? Like scrubbing off things. And so that's why people think it works, is because mechanically it scrubs. There's also the belief that it sticks better to coffee and wine stains, and then also the belief that it like oxidizes and that will help with the whitening. And in all honesty, like it can help because just you brushing more will help. But the problem that people don't realize is that if you use it a lot, it's actually the thing that makes it work will also damage your outer layer by scrubbing at your enamel. And it's a catch-22 because the more you scrub away all of your healthy enamel that's white, the yellower your teeth are going to look. And then also you're going to get staining of your gums too because it's so dark. And so all that to say is that's one thing that I really just can't support. No matter like how like comforting I'm trying to be to the patient, there's no way I can see it being beneficial unless maybe you wanted to use it like once in a blue moon, but then it's not really working enough to do its thing, honestly. So when I have patients that want whitening, I just say Crest white strips all the way. This is also not an ad.
Not an ad. How about hydrogen peroxide and baking soda? I've been hearing about this for teeth whitening too. What do you think?
So I mean, I've seen it in different sort of whitening toothpaste and things like that too. It's funny you mentioned that. Also, like nanohydroxyapatite can whiten your teeth too, like we were talking about earlier. It just depends to the degree. There's like only so much that you can do because everyone does have like a certain like maximum intensity that they can get to. And honestly, I think a lot of it is just people paying attention more and actually brushing their teeth more, which is interesting. There's also so many little hacks I've seen out there. Like if you wear more blue toned lipstick and lip gloss versus if you wear more warm, that'll accentuate like the yellowness in your teeth. So there's other little things to achieve that whiteness.
Well, I think that teeth has to go to Korea and get a color analysis test
Yeah.
to find
That's
out
so
what's
funny.
actually going on. Well, thank you for answering those questions when it comes to some of the most viral TikTok trends when it comes to the teeth. As we're nearing the end of our conversation, I wanted to bring you to a speed round. And
Yes. Oh my God, I love it.
my gosh, I will ask you some questions. You can't give an explanation. Okay, let's do
Okay.
this. You'll answer everything. And if you want to explain one of your answers, then I'll
Okay.
allow
Then
you
I
to
can
do
choose
so.
one.
And
I
you're-
love how you were like, I know this bitch can't like not elaborate.
Oh, I know you. Are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay, let's do it. Favorite toothpaste flavor besides mint?
Ooh, okay. Right, I can't explain. Lychee.
Does that exist?
Yes. Okay,
Yes,
so
okay.
this will be my one explanation. Cocoa Floss has a really good lychee flavor one, and it's nanohydroxyapatite, so that's my travel toothpaste. See, I'm not anti-nanohydroxyapatite. I actually like it, and I put it in my travel bag. It's the most delicious lychee flavor. You have to try it.
I love it. We have 9 other ones, and I don't know if...
No, that's okay. Then I just won't explain any of the other ones.
We'll see. Biggest dental crime you've seen so far?
I can explain this in more than one word, right?
Yes.
Okay, so one time someone's crown, which is basically a cap that goes on your tooth, fell out. And then they couldn't get it to stay back on. So to adhere it to their tooth, they used the chewed up jelly bean that pulled it off and stuck it to the inside and stuck it back onto their tooth. I cry inside.
I am shook. Wow. Okay, floss picks or old school string floss?
Oh my God, old school all the way.
Okay.
1,000%.
Best celebrity smile.
My gosh, there's so many good ones, honestly. I kind of really like Taylor Swift's original smile. She got veneers, I believe, but I like her original smile. I like most people's original smiles.
Manual or electric toothbrush?
Electric.
Best dental tool.
Floss.
Crooked teeth or a veneer technician?
Crooked teeth.
If cavities could talk, what would they say right before you fill them?
Oh my gosh, that's such a good one. I just feel like cavities would be like so sassy. Like they would be like, listen, I ain't the one. I ain't the one. And, like as you're drilling, like they'd be so sassy, like fighting you back.
I ain't the one. And last one, this is a question that almost everyone has. Can you really tell someone did the deed by looking in their mouth?
Yes, I can.
There we go. And there's no explanation needed. Thank you for joining our speed round. And I guess as a final question, like I said earlier, when I was growing up, I was so scared of the dentist. It was literally a root of just fear and anxiety. Like I would make up excuses like I have a fever just so I don't go to the dentist and get my teeth cleaned, just so I won't find out I have a cavity. And I guess it's the truth for many, right? But then at the same time, the field of dentistry is also the purveyor of so much hope and beauty. It's like teeth is like someone's confidence. Right? I remember having a patient before who each time she was talking to me, she would cover her mouth, and I realized it because she didn't have teeth. And so it's really a root of people's confidence, and like you said, even indicator of their health. So I would say dentistry isn't just about health, right? It's about their confidence, their health, even how they show up in the world. I'm curious, for you, what's the most meaningful lesson you've learned from your patients about the power of a smile?
The most meaningful lesson I've learned from them is actually like allow yourself to be surprised by other people. Because I've met so many patients with anxiety and so many like different experiences. And let's be honest, we've all had like difficult patient experiences before where you think like, oh, they're never going to change. They're never going to sign up to do this. But my message for providers out there is just give people a chance to surprise you, because I've seen transformations greater than any Hollywood 40K transformation. I've seen transformations internally from people when you just give them a chance to like be themselves and feel comfortable, they will open up. And I've seen people 180 and become totally different and take care of their health and become so sparkling confident. And in all honesty, I discounted them at first. And so that's why I'm trying to remind myself is do not judge people before you meet them. Because if you come in with vulnerability and giving them the chance to change, some people really might surprise you and change. And for any patients listening that do feel that anxiety, just know you're not alone. Literally, this dentist is afraid of the dentist. And so if you haven't found someone, if you still also dread going to the dentist, just know you shouldn't feel that way. Like finding a dentist should be like finding a hairstylist. There's someone out there for you that you're going to trust and drive to see no matter what. And who knows, you could really end up connecting with them. So if you haven't found that yet, just give yourself the chance to find a dentist, because there's a lot of us out there that really care and just want to help you be healthier.
Oh, that was so beautiful. Connie, thank you so, so much for joining me and not just talking about teeth and oral health and all of these amazing TikTok trends, but just talking about how important it is that we show up in the world with so much confidence, and a lot of times it roots from our smile, from our teeth. So thank you so much for joining me.
Yay, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. It's, again, such an honor to be here.
Oh my gosh, I'm honored. If you could tell everyone where they could find you, please.
Yes, so you can find me on Instagram and TikTok. It's at Dr. Connie Wang, W-A-N-G, Connie, C-O-N-N-I-E. And then you can follow me on my podcast called Just a Quick Pinch. Yeah. It's a communications podcast for young healthcare providers where we learn all of these communication pearls. And you also get some fun pop culture news so that you can make fun small talk with your patients at work.
Literally, sometimes I'm in the subway and I download an episode beforehand just so I could listen it on the ride to work.
That's so sweet.
It's amazing. I love it. Connie, thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good one.